Welcome to Division of Aging Services. You have selected the Nutrition Services Overview.
Hello there, and welcome to this overview of the Older Americans Act Title IIIC Nutrition Services Programs. My name is Renee Brown. I'm our Chief Dietitian for the Division of Aging Services, and I'm going to walk you through a brief overview of what we do in nutrition. So, of course, this all fits as part of our larger mission for stronger families for a stronger Georgia, and I'm excited to tell you how nutrition fits into that piece of the puzzle. Before we begin, a brief outline. We'll cover a number of things today, but specifically the nutrition program scope, how we evaluate who is eligible for the program, and all the way up to how we monitor it and look toward future directions. So the Older Americans Act nutrition programs are funded primarily on a federal level through Older Americans Act Title III C1 and C2 funds, and we'll get into that in just a moment. Just know that it's pretty special because it's the largest Older Americans Act program, and in fiscal year 2018, it nationally accounted for 44% of the Act's funding. Pretty fun about the nutrition program is that it has three main goals. The first is to prevent malnutrition, but also to promote socialization and to offer health and well-being services. So it's about more than just getting a meal. So how do we deliver these services? There are a number of ways we do it. The first is through congregate nutrition services, and these are funded by those Title III C1 services. One way that you can remember this is if you go to a congregate nutrition site, you are going to see everyone. So C1 services are offered in group settings. Oftentimes, most often, this is in a senior center. Another mode of programming is a home delivered meal. This is offered under Title III C2 funds. And you can remember this because if someone brings you a meal in your home, they're coming to see you. So C2, CU, you can think is a home delivered meal. Now, commonly this is referred to as a Meals on Wheels, but you can also call it a number of different names. Just know that this means that a meal is being directly delivered to an individual. And funnily enough, this is often the first service that clients receive. And then once they get that meal, they are sometimes connected to more services to fit their specific needs. So it's very important to think about home delivered meals in that way. One other service that is offered through this program is the Nutrition Services Incentive Program. This is a funding source that actually provides money to states, U.S. territories, and Indian tribal organizations that allows them to purchase food to cover the cost of food commodities. So this is provided by the USDA, and it's also offered in tandem with the congregate and the home delivered meal services. So what does this look like in Georgia? We mentioned home delivered meals and congregate meals, and specifically in our state, we serve over 2.6 million meals to clients in state fiscal year 2019. So 2.6 million of home delivered and 1.6 million of congregate meals. So a total of more than 4 million meals are typically served, and this is often to about 30,000 clients or so. Now, there are a number of other nutrition programs that we offer in Georgia that aren't necessarily funded by the Older Americans Act, but they go hand in hand and help us to really see through that mission. The first is the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program. This is actually funded by the USDA and offered by the Department of Public Health, but we work in partnership to see it through. We also offer our state plan to address senior hunger and our Senior Hunger Initiative. And every year we have our Aging and Disability Resource Connection Healthy Community Summit. And I, as the Chief Dietitian, am the chair of that training conference. So that's a really nice way to show what we're doing and look toward future initiatives. So if you ever have questions about nutrition services, you can always reference our policy documents. The ones that I oversee and help to edit are shown here. They are MAN 5300, Chapter 206, and Chapter 304. And there are also review guides that are associated with those policies to help you review your programs. So if you're thinking about nutrition, just like other Older Americans Act programs, there are certain individuals who are eligible. In nutrition, these are individuals aged 60 and above and their spouses. So regardless of the age of a spouse, that spouse can actually receive a meal in tandem with the other client. You can also serve guests who are age 60 and above, as well as volunteers and staff, if you have approval from a AAA. So just keep that in mind. And finally, persons with disabilities who reside in housing facilities that are occupied by older adults can also be eligible to receive one of these meals. Keep in mind, like other Older Americans Act programs, we really want to target those who are most in need. So that's in social and economic need. So low income, minority, limited English proficiency, rural, and at risk for institutionalization. How do we figure that out? Well, one of the things that we use is our assessments. Specifically to nutrition, we have 3 main assessments that are used, and they're shown here. The first is the Nutrition Screening Initiative, which helps measure someone's malnutrition risk. It also includes the NSI Appendix B, which offers specific questions to measure how someone's oral health is and address specific questions or problems that they might have. In addition to that, we measure our food security survey. We use a 6-question model that is actually shown here that helps determine how food secure or insecure an individual may be. And finally, for our home delivered meal clients only, we use the Determination of Need Revised. This is an assessment that helps us to understand how an individual works with their ADLs, that is their activities of daily living, in their home. So how well can they cook and dress themselves and eat? And that really helps us to tailor services to home delivered meal clients. And that's why it's only required for home delivered meal clients. So based on a client's score on these assessments, their route to services and referrals can be determined. So in Georgia, when you have a client going into services, know that of course we can deliver a meal to their home, or you can retrieve a meal at one of 211 senior centers across Georgia. Senior centers can take one of 3 forms. They can be a traditional site, a collaborative site, or a Centers Without Walls site. And our policy describes all the details of what makes these different forms individual. But just know that each of them is catered to serving a different kind of population and to help individuals reach their services in the best manner. One thing that you should also take note of is when we have our policies on nutrition, we receive guidance from the Older Americans Act, and we have state guidance to provide more direction to our service providers. One of those direction points is the meal requirements. So individuals who serve meals must make sure that they're offering them once a day, and they have to be open at least 5 or more days per week. So if you have a senior center, you want it to be open as much as it can so that it's serving those most in need. And one thing that we want to make sure is that our meals are nutrient dense. So they must comply with the Dietary Guidelines for Americans, which is a set of standardized nutrient targets that allows us to make sure that happens. Just know that in Georgia, we have nutrition flexibility. So while our meals meet these nutrient dense standards, there are also some flexibilities to allow for more meal choice for clients. 2 other things to take note of are certain regulations on food safety, so making sure that all of the food that goes through our service providers is well kept and safe and handled in a sanitary manner. And another thing that's important to know is that in addition to the nutrition service providers offering the meal itself, they also provide nutrition education, screening, assessment, like I mentioned, and even nutrition counseling. So in addition to you receiving a meal as a client, you also have the opportunity to partake in wellness activities, recreation, and education and counseling. So when you look at that education and counseling in Georgia, all clients must be offered the following: 15 minutes of nutrition education per month, 1 hour of wellness program per day for congregate meal clients, and assessment and referral to care providers as necessary. One of the ways that we do this is that individuals who score a 6 or higher on the Nutrition Screening Initiative are required to be sent a letter in the mail. That letter alerts them of their high-risk score, and it instructs them to consult a dietitian or a primary care provider for further services. How do we bring all of these programs together? Now that you know what is expected of the Older Americans Act, I am here to tell you how my role as Chief Dietitian helps you to see it through. So the Chief Dietitian meets with our AAA Nutrition Program Coordinators on a quarterly basis. That's in January, April, July, and October of each year. AAAs also work with dietitians to create menus that meet those nutrient targets that I mentioned. Those menus are submitted and then kept on record, so we make sure that all of those meals are nutrient dense and good to go. Nutrition program staff also work with wellness coordinators to deliver those recreation activities and evidence-based wellness programs. So it's a really nice partnership between nutrition and wellness coordinators. And finally, nutrition program coordinators can always consult the Chief Dietitian for any technical assistance they may need. When we look at these programs, in addition to coordinating, my role as chief dietitian is to make sure that we evaluate and monitor our programs. And so when I do that, I want you to know that I'm typically looking for specific things and ensuring that our programs meet the following. Firstly, that meals are nutrient dense, that they offer choice and are culturally appropriate. Additionally, that each senior center meets its minimum target, so it's serving at least 20 clients and it's offering a safe, welcoming environment to participants. Next, we look at whether clients are being served who are most in need. So as I mentioned earlier, we want to make sure that we're really targeting those who are at high social and economic need for our meal programs. And when they get those programs, we want to ensure that the clients receive person-centered services. Are their meal preferences taken into account? Are their cultural aspects taken into account? We know that food is a very personal matter, so we want to make sure that we are connecting that to our client experience. And finally, nutrition programs are sure to offer opportunities for nutrition education, counseling, and social engagement. And so part of my evaluation is to make sure that that's happening. So as we have it, we are always doing well, but always looking to expand and evolve our programs. A few of the items that we are currently working on include expanding connection of clients to therapeutic meals. Therapeutic meals are diets that are modified for nutrients, texture, and/or allergens, and they help to provide a more person-centered meal delivery. We're also looking to offer more culturally diverse meals as well as education and programming. We also want to evaluate the effect of meal service on nutrition risk and food insecurity as measured by our assessments. So if an individual does receive a service from us, do they find themselves to be more food secure? Do they feel that they are less at risk for malnutrition? Ultimately, that's our goal, but we want to make sure that our data backs that up. And finally, with everything that's happened in the recent years, we are always increasing the number of virtual programs that are offered and connecting clients to desired technology resources. So making that connection is always something that we strive for. While I've covered a lot of information today, I encourage you to take a look at the references and resources that are included here. I, as the chief dietitian, am always available as a resource. So whether it's from policy documents, eligibility, or anything in between, thank you for listening to this overview, and please contact me if you have any questions.
If you would like more information, contact Renee Brown at renee.brown1@dhs.ga.gov. Thank you for watching.